Happy Saturday. We're going to talk about a health system or medical center that was affected by a ransomware attack, and that medical center is University of Mississippi. So some of the credits or some of the acknowledgments that I think I should tell you up front. I did use Notebook LM to gather the notes and create talking points. I used Gemini to create the images. I use MyBib for storing the references when I'm reading the articles. And then this is a list of the articles or websites that I went to. I went to Epic to kind of reassure myself of who they are. And so they actually have a really nice site. It shows a little bit about their history and their story. And it's quite an interesting story. This is another one of those started in the garage kind of stories. And the founder is a multi-billionaire. And so it is a good product. And they have quite a few systems in place and recommendations when they implement Epic to health systems. So they do their due diligence to help prevent situations like this. All right, and then some of the articles or websites I went to CISA, and that was about the Stop Ransomware, and this one was a specific piece about the Medusa ransomware. I went to The Record and read an article about the ransomware gang and their claims that they are responsible for the attack. Went to Riscana, and then actually saw some feeds on Twitter about this attack as well. All right, so the short story is Medusa is a Russian ransomware group. They attacked the University of Mississippi Medical Center system, their medical records system. And then so their EHR, which is electronic health records, was affected. And there are reports that their phone and email access was also affected. The original request for ransomware is about $800,000. This started in February of 2026. I think they were completely offline for about 9 days, and that included 35 of their statewide clinics. They canceled outpatient procedures and hobbled along as best they could using downtime procedures and going old school. So the hospital emergency department remained operational. Let's see, what else can I tell you? With the assistance of federal authorities, including the FBI and CISA, they ultimately got back up and they started normal clinic operations in March 2026, on March 2nd. So here's some terms that you might want to be familiar with when you're reading articles about this particular attack and in our other hospital attacks. So ransomware as a service, RAAS. This is a business model for cyber criminals. They develop and create a ransomware system or product, and they lease it to affiliates who want to carry it out that don't have that skill set. And the Medusa operates under this model, and they often share their profits with the initial access broker. So EHR is electronic health record. This is the digital version of a medical record for patients and their charts. Epic system at the University of Mississippi Medical Center was the primary target that was taken offline, and this was forced the clinics to go offline. So what is double extortion? So this is always a risk when you decide if you want to pay for ransomware. So full disclosure, there's not a lot of hard information about this attack. The university is not saying how it evolved. They're not saying whether they paid the ransomware or anything. But if there is a ransomware attack and an organization is considering paying, they have to understand that there are a lot of risks involved in that, which one is the double extortion, which is the tactic where threat actors will encrypt files. They'll steal the sensitive data. They'll demand the payment for the decryption key, and they'll promise not to leak the data publicly, but then they might anyway. So initial access vector is basically the method or the path they use to gain the entry. And again, University of Mississippi Medical Center did not say how it was done, but typically it usually is some kind of phishing or social engineering attack or unpatched software vulnerabilities. So what is lateral movement? Lateral movement is once you're in a system, you can kind of go across to different systems. So one of the interesting things about this is that the electronic health records were affected, but also they're indicating that maybe the email and the phone system was. And so typically those would be separated at some point. And so what could have happened in this situation is they gained access to one of the systems, they got into the other systems by moving laterally. And so this is a technique that attackers use to navigate through one network through the other. Then Medusa actors use tools like PSExic and RDP to move from compromised workstations. And so what is PSExic? It's a Microsoft tool that can be used, and again, it's used usually legitimately by IT administrators, but then attackers also have access to those tools as well, and it does help them work within their network. RDP is Remote Desktop Protocol. It's a Microsoft protocol for connecting to other computers on the network. So it's another tool that legitimate employees and IT administrators would use, but once it's there, it also gives the bad guys access to information as well. IOC is indicators of compromise. This is evidence that's found on the network or the system that helps identify the activity. And then for this incident, the IOCs include specific file hashes for encryptor named gaze.exe. I'm not totally sure that. I think I found it only in one place, so I don't know if that is accurate. Downtime procedures, pre-planned manual workflows, often involving paper forms and analog communications. So if you work for a health system or if you work for an organization that tries to be prepared, they'll usually have downtime procedures. Like they'll have a designated computer that can be used offline. It may be attached to a printer like through USB. It may be attached to some basic accessories that can work offline. And then that helps at least get through some of the needs when you're down. And then the other part of that is there are probably lots of manuals. There's a lot of training for this stuff. Most clinical organizations do a good job at training their employees how to function when you have no power or when you don't have any network connectivity. So this is typically a normal process for healthcare organizations. CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, is a federal agency that helps with technical assistance and security guidance, cybersecurity guidance to help with stuff like this. EPIC, again, it's a global database for healthcare. The founder, I think she's in her 80s now, is another one of those great stories about where she started at home, worked her way up. People that are involved with EPIC really are amazed at the work that this organization has done, and this particular founder, who is quite a person that doesn't stay in the limelight much. All right, so what are some of the mitigations? You have backup. Always have backups available. That will help reduce your downtime if you are attacked. Network segmentation, everything has to work safely. Multi-factor authentication. This helps to protect your accounts and your employees' accounts, etc. Downtime procedures. You have to know how to function, or you have to be able to function to a certain degree when you don't have access to the records or access to the network or even power, electrical. Tabletop exercises are really good to educate people and educate leaders, to walk them through processes so when they experience this, it's not something brand spanking new. They have some experience and they've done some work and learning on how to handle this, like who to contact, how to shut things down, how to manage things, and all that fun stuff that leaders have to do. Incident reporting, if you are ever if you're a victim of an attack, or you know of an incident, you can report it to your local FBI. You can report it to the NSA. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, there are options for that as well. Credits again, one more time, transparency. I use Notebook LM. I use Gemini. Access the EPIC site to refresh my memory. Accessed a couple websites, CISA, The Record, Riscana, and Twitter, and surprisingly not Bleeping Computer for this one. And again, one more time, this was an attack on the University of Mississippi Medical Center. They were the victims. There was a lot of praise for how the hospital and the employees handled everything, so they did a good job with their downtime procedures. We wish them luck. I understand they're back up and running, which is what we talked about. They got back up and running in early March, so hopefully they have cleared everything out and that they're good to go. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I will catch you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.